I'm going to, after now, I'm going to go over a video that's going to pretty much explain pointers to you. Video is from ALX All Betting co-founder. His name is Julian. He's the one who does tax from ALX are from him. So probably the best individual to explain pointers. And especially considering my ill health, I'm going to hand you over that video, cover up for what I would have explained before. And remember, this week I said for these 2 weeks we'll be focusing on the basics of C, not really ALX projects. So all of that combined together, and then looking at this, these are three different topics. String is a topic in C, array is a topic in C, and pointers is a topic in C. To be able to do these three topics in one project, not the easiest of things. And when we talk about things like pointers, we are referring to data structures. And data structures in C, it's a very, very, very deep topic. You see where it says talks about reading deep. So it's not something that you'd understand by even looking at it 5 times. But let me just explain and walk you through the quiz. Then I would hand over that video to you. And that video should be able to help you a lot. So what I'm going to do now is to show the quiz and
First time excited. Just click on the video icon. Click on the video icon, you will see a red dot, a red tick on it. Edit. Okay, you've done that. Good.
so what is the size of a pointer to character on a 64 bits? So I'm going to assume now that probably you've not read the resource, and so this question is quite confusing. Remember, I said more importantly during this 1 month project, I'm going to be sharing my thoughts, not necessarily. So remember when we talked about different kind of data type. We have the int data type, we have the char data type, that is the character data type, have the float data type. So the character data type is 1 byte, right? It is 4 bytes. The floats, is the int 4 byte or 2 bytes?
It's 4.
Yeah, so I think the float is also 4 bytes and the double is also 4 bytes. Am I correct?
Yes. The float is 4 bytes, but I think the double is
The
4
double,
bytes.
the double is 8 bytes. One is bigger than the other. Yeah, that's the main
Yeah,
difference
the
between
double.
float and double. Yeah, the double is bigger and takes larger numbers, so that's 8 bytes. So these are different kind of data types. So when you see a quiz that now says what's the size of uh, a pointer to a character, so it's now asking what's the size of a pointer first, of a pointer first, then character is pointing to a character. So if they remove this pointer now, say what's the size of an int, and you don't know the size of an int, what would you probably do? This is where thought process comes in.
Google.
Thank you. So there was one website like that pretty much someone shared, and on that website, I had any question you ask. I've forgotten the name as I didn't check it out. But any question you ask, or any question at all you ask, you get the answer. I don't know how that works, but I'm sure it's probably one of those. If it's instantly, you get the answers there. That's because some other person have asked it on the web. Then it would be a great
Oh,
way.
we are past 10, so many people have nine quarters past it.
So it could be a great way to finish quick, but maybe not a great way to learn. Because if they are going to give you answers without explaining how they got, the answer may not necessarily be an explanation of the. I don't care about explaining the answer. What I care about is how you were able to understand. You know, just one person has asked me, please send me all the resources you use to learn. Just one person. Most questions I'm getting is that somewhere I'm having an error, come my but just one person has really shown interesting doing what I used to learn here are actually on the web here, so they are not like things. I didn't use any of ALX research, none. Let's see. I used CS. I'm using CS50 now. But I use YouTube. I use YouTube a lot, and then I use a little of Coursera for very small distance. Why I ran away from Coursera is because it wanted me to read too. So moving on, that should be your main focus. Trying to understand how the person gets there rather than you also pass the 1 month probation. I'm going to officially ask on the again because today is Tuesday, and I heard the 1 month probation is ending. I thought the 1 month probation is going to enter November. I'm sure that 1 month probation is going to enter November. I'm not so sure because for 10 people are saying it's ending this week, so I don't know. But you also pass the 1 month probation.
He sent a mail sometime ago, I think sometime around last week, reminding us that, I think it was on Wednesday last week,
Yeah.
reminding us that it's third week of our probation.
They didn't call
It's
the
the
date
third
it will
day,
end, Abby.
third day of the third week of our probation. That was what the SMS read.
Okay.
The email.
Okay. So they finally giving precision. At one time they just said you are doing well very soon. Did the pro. They are probably improving. Very soon they'll start teaching. So as you leave the probation now, more freedom to you if you can use it well. Let me explain what Squad 8 are doing. That's the reason why I call this meeting. If not, I can just send you the resource to learn from Julian directly. And you'll probably be able to answer all this after you watch his 3-hour video. What? You want to learn pointers, you point in the right direction. Me myself didn't watch his show. But I know he did a good job because
Bro, 3 hours. Have mercy now.
he did the tax himself. That's why I said I know he did a good job. ALX will not do your tax. But their co-founder, Julian, did the tax. And that's quite nice from him. So wonderful. So wonderful. So let me share you with you what's my guys in my everybody has their specialization now. One is doing C sharp, the other one is doing JavaScript. The next person is doing, which is me, interested in Python and computer science a lot. General computer science with specialization in Python. So I'm doing an AWS, Amazon Web, and Python, and computer science here. And you're wondering in your mind, how am I having time for it? We just accepted the fact that ALX are here to give us a whole lot. So we took our time to start learning out and stop focusing on the other person now is in another program, another 6 months program like ALX. Those one require 40 hours per week. But I didn't leave ALX, so we are going to stay. But this one is for your personal learning. But after you leave this 1 month probation, and as you keep going, try to focus a whole lot on what you want to do. And once you focus on there, just stay, just continue. Don't worry, I'll send the 3 hours video to everyone. Who gets chance can watch it. Who doesn't? Well, you just try. Maybe you could follow the timestamp, or like I do, if I get a video that is long, I used to next it by 60 seconds, 60 seconds, 60 seconds, or 2 minutes, or 4 minutes, depending on what the person is saying. I get to the points that. So once again, to this question 0, so just have it in the back of your mind that after this week, you could get the freedom, learn very well as you really need to focus on. But over the long run, you want to make sure that your score still remains 8. Like over the long run, you don't have issues. Now, if I wanted to get this now, what's the size of a pointer to a char, and I don't know it, rather than go to a website where it would just tell me about pointers, pointer to a char, rather than look for this quiz just exactly. This is what I would. This is what I would. Watch where I copy though. What's the size of a pointer to a char on a 64-bit architecture? This is the question. You that wants to learn, copy this. You're not the first person to do ALX to have this quiz. If you copy this, you are going to see the exact answer. And at that point, it will be more difficult for you to learn. So I'm going to copy this. What's the size of a pointer? Come here now and paste it in my next book. And say a pointer is just a C variable that could store the address of other variables. So first off, is pointer a data type? No. Pointer is a variable that could store the address of other variables. Here now, this simple question we copied has explained what pointer is just now. In very short sentence, just the way I like it. A variable that stores the address of a variable. In C, size of pointer is not fixed as it depends on processor. In general, a 32-bit machine size of pointer would be 4 bytes, while for a 64-bit machine. What's the size of pointer to a char on a 64-bit architecture? Does what we have learned it's here now pretty much answer our question here? What do you think?
There's not a pointer.
So from what we have read here now, so what's the size of a pointer to a character on a 64-bit machine?
8 bytes. 8 bytes.
Fine. Fine. Now, just looking at this, hmm, side of a pointer in C, just looking at what the information you've gotten here should tell me that this website will teach me more things. So I'm going to open it. Next up, that's how and then I'll come here now and start reading this. This way I now read. Pointer is just a C variable that will store the address. In C, size of pointer is not fixed. This syntax. So in the syntax, we have the data type here, variable name. The variable name data type. So in between data type and variable name. So if we have a data type that's like this now, so let me open my notepad. If you have a data type, so data type, anyone gives me an example of a data type in? Let me write it.
Sure.
Thank you. So if we have so if we have char name and we have int age, we have float number. How does this thing now? We've done this a lot now. So how does this thing become a pointer? Because their syntax says data type and then variable name. So how does this thing now? What make this a pointer? This thing we've just written here, char name. How does this become a pointer?
It's stored the address of the network.
But we've been doing this a lot now. We've not been storing any address now. Or have we been storing address without we knowing? Look at it though. Char name. Have we been storing an address without we knowing? For example, if I write int age equal to 20, have I stored any address here?
No.
But here in their syntax declaration, they said
No, you only declare.
yeah. So here we've stored data type and variable name. That's the syntax again. How does this now consider?
The answer.
You can mute or you can
There's
mute.
an asterisk. There's an asterisk. That's called the variable name. I think that asterisk belongs to the address.
Thank you. There's someone that is by very noisy. So just as you rightly mentioned, look here. In syntax, we represent the variable name after an asterisk. I don't know if you really read from this. Remember, I'm showing you how I learn. This is how me. I don't use those websites that will give me only the answer I want because I'll not learn. But this is how I learn. So, what really makes this thing now a asterisk? So this asterisk now would automatically make this whole thing here. So, so I can come here asterisk name. This asterisk. And what is a pointer? A pointer variable. So this star in it would store the address. That's what we're now. Look here now. Their next example. Observe the example below. Arrow. Ah. Then there are some explanation. Here, PTR is also note that the asterisk is mandatory. We don't add it. So the only difference between what we did and what we are doing now, what's the use of size of pointer? Name memory. So what this means is that if go back to the What's the size of pointer to it? Let's talk. What's the size of a
1 byte.
now we have a point. Once we point at that 1 byte or size of it, and that's all. Mostly we work with 64-bit section. Who use just now if you understand this 0 1 should be. Question 1 also asks what's the size of it? So it's also 8 bytes. At this point, let's say I'm confused and I want to be sure that the size of a pointer does not depend on whether it's integer or character. I'll come to Google again. What's the size of a pointer to a double in C? That's not part of the quiz question. That's not part of the quiz question. But I will just come now. What's the size of a pointer? And it says size of double pointer. If you observe, you'll see that the pointer variables, irrespective of their data type, consume 4 bytes. So, but here we are saying 8 bytes, like 8 bytes here. So, does this mean that the size of pointer used to change? What do you think? You know, here it says, what's the size of a pointer to a character? 8 bytes. What's the size of a pointer to an integer? 8 bytes. Normally, what's the size of a double?
Double is 8 bytes.
So now, yeah, thank you. Then we now come to Google and say, what's the size of a pointer to a double? And it gave us 4 bytes. So does that mean that the size of pointer used to?
I think there was somewhere we read that it's not static or something.
So it means that we'll now have to, yeah. So it means that we'll now have to cram an integer 8 bytes, character 8, double 4 bytes. Not static. Do we have to?
That's ironical. That would double before and 1 is 8.
Thank you. This where learning is. This where learning is not. See all these things are not learning. These things. Those ones are problem solving. Solve it. There you do your start learning this. Don't do copy this. Can't learn problems. You learn the game. Actually, go back to that pointer definition. This way you understand why we have pointer in C is just a variable. In C, size of pointer is not fixed, as it depends on what size of a 32-bit computer. In general, a 32-bit computer machine, size of the pointer would be 4 bytes. So why is here telling us 4 bytes? Because the machine is what?
bits. 32 bits. Okay. 32 bits for 4 bytes. Then 4 bits for.
If you notice what I came to Google to, I said, what's the size of a pointer double? I just, it told me, but there was something I was supposed to. Is it 32
Also
bits
specify that it's
or
bit of the
64 bits?
computer.
Very.
Oh,
That simple thing to add would make you confuse and confuse a new. Before you see, you will just start reading and you get so confused and decide to leave. Now, someone is asking, why did he go and check the size of? I know someone is just, but that's the learning. Look at the question. What's the size of one character? 8 bytes. What's the size of a pointer to an? You want to, but here to learn. Don't just move on. Ask yourself now. Ask yourself another dummy. What's the size of a pointer? What's the size of pointer? That's how you would learn. So I'll come here and paste what's the size on this 4 bits. When I paste it, let's see. And what's the size of a pointer? What's the size of a pointer in C? They are not necessarily telling me is it double, is it float. All I'm saying, what's the size
Check
of a
off.
pointer?
Check off. It's there.
You said what?
Check off. Like you passed that. Thing. Yeah, it's there. Yeah.
Okay, let's open. See if that's exactly what you're asking. The site is not opening from here. I don't know it's from this.
You don't need to open this site. It's there when you open. Yes.
Okay,
Before the link.
floats 4
close
bytes,
4 bytes. Double 8
double
bytes.
8 bytes. So does it mean that floats in pointer is 4 bytes?
This is in Windows 64-bit application.
Yeah, but it's saying floats 4 bytes. So is this correct?
I think maybe generally, but normally flow should be 8. So I think there's a specification. Try.
Thank you. Look, come
Sorry.
down.
Yeah, yes.
Come down.
4 bytes, yes. Double should be 8. Yes,
Come
normally. Yeah.
back. What do we have? Say pointer.
All pointers are 8 bytes.
On 4-bit function.
Computer.
I don't know if it's
Yeah, they,
all pointer. Thank you for pointing it out soon. Immediately I see those 4 by double 8. I just went down because I knew this was looking. It was probably giving me standard data types. I saw the name of this site. That's not what I'm looking for pointer data. But look at it. Now it came down and said pointer 8 bytes in 4 bits all. So even if you've not started the questions, you've understood one thing, even without reading any of the by using Google. By using Google, this place also explains this thing that we've just. It says in general, it's either going to be 4 bytes for or 8 bytes for. So whether you see here, what's the size of a pointer to a car, or like question 0 and 1 cleared. That's me any question about what a pointer size of a I can answer. This is how the quiz. I don't know, maybe you could see, or what Google just specialize on whatever is that thing. You copy everything, probably not doing the best. For example, follow paste. When you just see 8 bytes waiting for you, probably copy it at 8 bytes. But sometimes I would, so instead of just copying all, why not just copy what's the size? Or you could just even come to write pointers in, allow Google give that explain. Now, these are other things, factors on which size of pointer, how to print size of pointer. This one say size of, so it's when all, and this one is talking size of pointer to size of pointer to all same. You see that first one before. That's how to from only quiz one zero and see how long I've spent on. If you understand quiz, or you want from there, or if you don't understand quiz, then it's now look at question 2. If we have a variable called var, how can we get its question? Let's assume I don't know this. That's the whole essence. Show you how to know something when you don't know. It's not to explain. So how can you know from all our been? How can you get using Google? How can you?
So question 2, right?
Yeah.
Question 2. If I also do let's just go. Let's just put it in the Google. It will bring some useful information that I'll filter. I would say what is the address and memory of the variable?
What is the ad? Let's go ahead and check that. Is address a variable? Is it like this?
The variable in full.
Like this.
Okay, variable is C. Let's add it.
Like this.
That's okay.
When a variable in C is created, memory address assigned, memory address location of where the variable is stored on the pointer. On the computer, where did I see? When we assign a value to variable, it is stored in this memory address. Does that answer our question?
Let's go further.
So C memory address. So we come here. It is stored in the, this is what we just read. When you see things highlighted like this, means this were good. To access it, use the reference of and the result will. Does this give us anything?
Yes.
If we have a variable,
Yes.
blah blah blah, how can we address to access it and the result will variable is stored? Question: how can we get the this answer say use the reference operator, the result will. So here it gives output memory address. So yes, it did give us. However, I'm just thinking, if not for the fact that you help you get, if not for the fact that would this Google this not? Eh? Remember what we did. What is the? We are talking about pointer. So how can we get the of a pointer? How can we get a? Let me add point and see if they can. First is stack of. I'm trying to scroll down since I got the first answer from Stack Over. Am I the only one that doesn't like Stack?
Stack Overflow gives you access.
Okay. Sometimes they give clear answers, sometimes they don't.
Stack Overflow is where people like me, they may not give probably them, or they may give answers just to. These are different people. I've seen what I'm looking for, it's pretty much difficult for me. From a beginner's level. So I'll leave it and go to check other websites. Pointers in C one is not pointers, standing. So I could open this one, or I could scroll down, see memory address. And if I scroll down, guess the address of a variable. But this is exactly what I'm. Consider the question. How can we address C? So this one that is saying gets the address. Then by opening this, I'll probably get the answer. Okay. I don't understand why the system like IQ open genius. It's not opening, obviously, but by opening it, I'll get the answer to my yeah. If I'm with a phone or something, probably open. Or even without opening it, I wanted to see the. But look at the place Google. Use the address of and print it. Address. They even made it. So by opening it, I'll probably get. I could now come here. We get the memory address of the variable. To do so, we use the address of and operator, and we use the percent %p specifier to print it. That's the void. So let's say the variable is named OpenGD. The format specifier and operator. So that we do this or do this. Use the and operator. So once we do this now, we are able to remember much. So we know it's not a star, it's not this last. So basically, this is maybe much more on that, depending on how much time or how precise you are with your question. But just start anyway and try to get, if possible, trying to for help. Start looking up and using copy and paste. Try to understand what is the identifier to. This is actually said it too. We print it using this specifier of the this site that get an question is, what is the identifier? When we talk about an identifier, format specifier. So you see how to use after using Google and reading all this. How do you know how Google can? That question. Now, this one is so simple. You could go ahead and go the rest now. The rest now. Now, this question 7. How do you Google? Why you are thinking? What's the value of n? The following. How? Any idea? Look and present. So the value of n at this time, you say n is equal to 90. Now this normal. What's a pointer? Yes, no, what's a pointer?
The next variable.
So when we do a pointer p, now I'm sure everyone understands why we have and equal to and. So why do we have and? Why do we have and? Okay. Why do we have and?
That and shows that address of n. That the pointer is showing pointing to the address of n.
Yeah. There's anybody who does not understand this. Let us know. One reason. Okay, that was so. This is address of. I simply say this p should point equal to the address of. Normally, when you store int 98, will be stored where? Normally, with only this line of the 98 would be stored. That normal. What would it be stored by? The 98, where would it be stored? This thing normally, where would 98 be? I think this is one of the easiest questions. I don't know if it's because we've done variables. And what I'm just doing is to break down this first part that you can. Let's remove this n and write age. So normally, what would the age be for if we say int age equals to 90? If we now call age, what are we calling?
That's it.
I'm calling 98. It's valid.
Thank you. So we just had n here. It's basically the same thing. Same thing. So anywhere we see n, normally would be 98. It's now all n would be. The memory location of n, I don't care where the memory is, for n is equal to 90. That's memory location of business for the. Nobody is going to ask you. Now they are saying what would be the value of n if we have a pointer pointing the address. So n already stores 90 address. And if we have a pointer that points to n, it's going to give This one, if you understand the ALS question, good on each other. So just a little, you're having problems. Just a little. You're having problems with variables. That's our function. Now you know what to do. Solve your part. If you understand the question, you understand this question or the referencing. Now, to learn more about the process of getting a value that's stored in a memory location is, if you go and copy Google will give you a very precise answer, which is wrong. Like for learning it, pointer referencing education known as the pointer. So once you get this, you answer. But instead of just answering, to learn, copy this again and come here and referencing it. This come here. What does the referencing a pointer? See, this is where you learn. This is it. Be surprised at how much you know after learning. Now, solving problems does not necessarily depend only on how much you know. So you have issues with it. But until you can't. If you understand the reference, how to store pointer variable, question 7 should not be a problem. Question 8. Now, question 8 is very, very much tricky. What's the value of n? So the value is 98. Someone should explain why we have 98. Explain it. Understand? Remember the Feynman technique, blah blah.
Yes. Now, the intent, it's LP is telling us that this is a pointer, and the and talking about location of that pointer, in which we know that n, since the n is 98, since the n is okay, yes, is the p. If it equals to the and with n, and the p equal to, but the p is equals to the location of the n, of the and n. We are still talking about the address. So we oh, I don't know. I don't know if yes. The thing is, the address we will be working more on the asterisk p, because it's telling us that this is a pointer, and it's giving us the uh, the location of in n. So this n is 98. The location too will also be 98. That's why I have 98 in the answer. I don't know if
Mr. Timothy. Thank you, Mr.
Since n store the value 98 and the pointer p shows the address of n. So it only points to the address of n, not, it doesn't change the value of n. So it actually points to the address, not, it doesn't change the value of n.
Thank you.
and I think the P is just for the code just for me, because it doesn't have the asterisk.
Yes, that's the content of it. That fault the content of it.
Thank you. Any questions? Okay. Oh, please go on.
And also to add to what Timothy said. Yes, that's what Timothy said, and Mr. Journalism added. I would also say that I would say the whole program recognizes an integer declaration, and yeah, I feel like integer n equals 98 is a declaration. So it's looking at the integer n, it's not looking at p equals to 401, which is the reference. So it's going to execute the integer n, and if the pointer is pointing to n, that means it's executing the value of n that the pointer is pointing to, therefore ignoring p that is just there as I see it.
Fine. I like all the answers. The reason why I like it is anything you choose now should help you be able to explain questions. So question 9 answer is 402. Question 8 answer is 9. So problem plenty. Look at the two. What is the value of n after the following executed? What's the value of n after the following? So why do I have 902 and 402? Go on.
Yeah, actually, from what I read from the notes, the previous one, the reason why the value of n was 98 was because the asterisk, because it was said in the notes that when you use an asterisk, you can actually change the value at that position, at that address. So it's because P didn't carry an asterisk, that was why the value remained 98. And with the second one, P carries an asterisk, so the value needs to change to 402, like we have changed the value at that location.
But
Any other? Yeah, go on.
that's what I wanted to say.
So, what she just did to explain together 8 and 9. I like what she said. If I don't want to read the note, come here and check the referencing pointer at javapoints.com. What's the referencing a pointer? Remember I said when you go to Google and Google gives you that answer. From that answer, learn the referencing. The reference a pointer can be used to access or manipulate the data. The referencing of pointer nodes can be used to manipulate the data or manipulate the data stored. And here there is something like a manipulation. That's the truth. There's a manipulation. Question 8. The P originally equal to the address of n 102k. There is, have I talked about how to change the value of variable a normal class?
No, you didn't mention anything like that.
Okay. In the video, I'll see the video here. much looking for this name is done like that. And that's why I say these things just build on each other. So here there's a manipulation of, but why is this still giving us after? Because of what we call the reference. And you see how I'm using Google. When I see bulky man, that's the first thing
Actually,
I mentioned it.
the materials for this course is very boring and long.
And that's what I get. So what I do, I use everything. I use each of the by the time I'm done or to watch video. If I don't want to read it, or if this reading becomes long to me, I go to YouTube. After understanding it, that the referencing of pointer is used to calculate the location which is pointed. So if normally we had something called an int 90, and then we have n equal to 100 and what would n lastly print out if we do a printf? We have printf percent d have n. So what would this print out? Normally, what would it print out?
$97.
Okay. Any other answer? Okay.
97.
One person said
Print 102.
102.
Print 102.
Yes. It's going to print out 102 value. Okay. Going to print out 102. This is for changing the values of, and in the video I'm going to
I don't understand.
it's something called changing the value of it. Don't worry, I'm not going to get into it because I already have a video way that it. But it's going to print out 102. You can mute, you can mute. You know, background is noisy. You know your background now. Can
Funny
please
point,
mute.
please mute your mic. Okay, thank you.
Normally, this thing int n, and then we come here and put print this. But when we talk about the referencing of a pointer can be used to manipulate data that has been pointed by. It means if we come here, when I take time to usual, it's a whole different game from me attempting question. But when I learn, then once I'm even without question, I would open my code blocks. If we had something like int n here and see, then n to print. But now that we have pointer called p that is pointing to the address of, want to manipulate the address, we can't just say n. We are now going to use something called a star p. How did I get this? Still from this state here. You can change the value of x by referencing star arrow. This will change the value of x value. And look at what we just did. They are equal. So this is the reason, because we are dereferencing a pointer. That is, we are changing the value of. That's why we come here. So if that's not clear, don't use anymore. That's what it was. What's the next question? No. What's the next? I'm recording the class, so if it's okay. Recording the class because separate video. For the classes I did have in mind, already done. Going. What's the value of n after the following? So now we have n 90 pointer p equals. So why do we have this? Someone who has already raised. Why do we have? What's this? Minus 90. Follow this fine logic. That's supposed to give us 90 plus plus. So give us 90. What's going on? What's going on? Someone who has. No.
Wait, is the answer of 99? Have you tried 99?
99 is wrong. 99 is the correct answer. But there should be an increment. That's why they say 2 should be 99.
I forgot to
So
do
that's
it.
really bad.
I think the answer.
You said you think you.
I guess.
Someone should, with all the thought process, rather than wait for me. Let's see.
I don't know how to.
Let's assume I, I have. So,
I don't know if I would do things double.
so this person I have done. If not, normally I'll click 90. So
Personally, I also agree that this question should be 99. I don't know why.
Shouldn't be 99.
I thought 98
But you have to
in
increase
mind.
it. But you have to
Like,
increase
what
it.
is
What you are,
it's noisy?
There's an increment then.
and it doesn't have anything to do with n. We are asked what's the value of n. Yes. Yes. So that keep note of that is all a condition.
Question about that. There's an increment. I have the asterisk here, which is like the pointer telling us that n, I'd say it.
But it doesn't shape the value of n. It doesn't shape the value of n.
But the pointer is telling us after the pointer, which is 98, then we should increment it by 1. This should give output of it.
No.
So what is happening?
No. Pointer points to the address of the next variable, if you still remember. So it doesn't change the value of a variable, it points to the address. Just show the address of the variable, it doesn't change the value. And we know the value of n is 98.
Forget to replace it.
Huh?
But you can replace, isn't it? Can replace value.
I don't know, I'm not sure it can.
So we have something like that. Our value is placed.
Maybe one of the referencing, right?
Yeah.
But the value was not replaced there, just the same 98 now. So just they look like it's 98.
I like the analogy. Wow, I was just waiting. Let me check. I was just waiting for one person to align, like throughout. Or let me check with my. If you were here when I talked about C, when I talked about that file, the only thing was to go to my. I was waiting for someone. Try out something. Well, that's what I didn't. So I'm going to show you one way you can solve this. It's supposed to be 90. For one reason, it's supposed to be 90.
Okay, I think you said the P is not affected by the increment. The value is not affected by the increment, the pointer increment.
Yeah. We are only asked the value of what would be the
I think
value.
I said you just wanting to be very simple. And it has a plus plus, so I feel like it's like a loop, and loop always takes you back to the value which is 98. As I said.
Wonder Hussein. If we have P equal to P equal to P equal to P plus. Let's see to print. I have let's see if it's good. I don't have pretty much going to. So, but let me explain it now. Fabulous. I don't know if anybody from what I just star P should be equal to or should be equal to, that is here n is equal to 9. This P point value of n. We say star P reference that pointer, that is manipulates the value of to be equal to 402. In this case now, we are saying now we have a pointer P which points to the here's our equal to that has many. So the star P should be equal to the increment. But yeah, we say, that's what it does. I don't know if anybody was here when I talk about arithmetic operations where we actually use plus plus. Was anyone here when I talk about this and was anyone here? Wow. After that class, I know I talked this what just happened. It's going to increase this value, but it's not going to print it. We have another state that's, but as long as this statement, there are two things that we put it. Another one is I know exactly what, but if we have this has to do with our prefix and go ahead. Probably understand that. Yes, we have. And why if we add it here, plus. But what happens is that it's going to increase weights. Surprising that all about 40. Uh, okay.
I don't know, but on the other hand, it's confusing. I'll need to refresh the I've got the video again many times to get the point, but it was confusing.
Probably cool. At this, from there, check. So you would take you understand previous concept. I read you know now For example, 11, so this I had lots of skills. It's very good to because that's how it is. I remember one person asked me after I finished. Father, this level should be what we have.
Each array is also 4, and then we have array into 5 there. So we just times 5 times 4 gives us 20.
If we have some, not you now, please. Let me know if you understand. We have something like car name. In our memory, how many anybody can answer? Yeah,
Yeah, that'll be 4 multiplied by 10. That'll be 40.
on and he said one. Hmm. Once again, guys, yeah, we have a character take takes 4,
Right?
take
4.
double. This is character. And how many? Look at the way I'm learning. Only making us
Right?
or get that. Get used to learn. Now you know what to do to stop it. So we want to 5 integer. You know, let's say we this. What's the value? What the, after we declared in 3 5, so Welcome.
I didn't look some are welcome.
This time, I mean, language. It's usually simple. Fix, fix. So if we have this, it's legal. First off, legal. With this legal. So what I just did was to change the value of my. That's the same way I changed the value of my variable. So what's the equivalent of array 2? This is a pointer. Uh, Bracket in between. That's where what's the what's the equivalent of this? So now, if I want to go on to understand what a Google assessing pointers, assessing is pointers and is Google that. Or I could go and check pointer because what's the pointer this come here. An example with me. If all these much does where did I see what made okay, see it here. They have to use therefore 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 we have a that equivalent in when you type D, you are calling from there on you can yes, this study record. It's definitely a change. Thank you,
Okay. Thank you very much for your time.